Hello, and welcome to Speculative ASMR. I hope you're having a good morning, noon, afternoon, evening, night, midnight, whatever you're up to, wherever you are. This is my first video, so I'm pretty excited. I am a lifelong ASMR fan, ASMR listener, ASMR connoisseur. I watch it almost every night before bed, and sometimes when I'm playing video games. And so I wanted to start this channel because it's been important to me, but also because I like ASMR because it's relaxing, and I like it because of the sensations, the tingles. I get those, but I really like it because of how much knowledge it gives me. It gives me a width of knowledge. And by that I mean I've watched ASMR on basically everything. A couple colds maybe. I don't know why I started with that, but football, American football, European football, I don't know why I'm blanking. Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, maps, geography, politics, the world, boats, historical events. There we go. Came out of me. And so I wanted to do this channel to make me think, to make everyone else think a little bit maybe, and just think or question or see what I can chat about. So I wanted to start off with the appropriate first topic, and that wonderful topic is ASMR itself. And I have separated this into two categories: ASMR the phenomenon and ASMR the entertainment genre. And I'm considering ASMR the phenomenon, ASMR as we feel it, ASMR as it tingles down your back, ASMR that is experienced. And ASMR, the entertainment genre, is how it exists on YouTube, how it exists in popular culture, and how it exists basically on social media. So I'm going to start with phenomenon. This is for any hashtag ASMR newbies, technical definitions. So ASMR the phenomenon, this is all freestyle by me. I've written all of this just to generate some thoughts. They're a little wordy, but I'm just gonna talk about it for a bit, so we'll all get the understanding. Great. So, technical definition of ASMR: low grade euphoria elicited by certain audio visual triggers, whispering, tapping, etc. And this manifests in sensations that are a deep sense of relaxation and can cause tingles across the body, but mainly on the top of the head, the neck, or the spine. And I can get this from people talking on a microphone. It doesn't even have to be that loud or that quiet. It just needs to be a certain way. It needs to be sort of quiet, but I'll get to that. And it's not universally felt, or it's felt to different extents. I think some people get a little bit of relaxation. Some people are chills head to toe. And it's not a scientific term, is what I found out. It stands for, I didn't even get into the name because I wanted to kind of get into my own musings on it, philosophical musings. But it stands for autonomous sensory meridian response. And that just alludes to all the things it could be. It's sort of a response, sensory. It happens on its own, and it happens in your brain. So that's kind of all it goes to, sort of what I'm breaking down here. And now we're getting to the meat and potatoes of what I want to say on the phenomenon of ASMR. And I'm going to speculate on the nature of ASMR. And I'm prefacing this by, I'm trying to understand in what ways does it function within us. Not necessarily if these functions are chosen or if I am correct. It is just how I have viewed them, cause and reaction. But it could not be cause. It could just be some random thing that happens in us And it just stuck around because it did. Could be the appendix, social functions, or feelings or sensory feelings, but maybe it's not. So, humans are a social species, and we have a variety of social and biological processes that reward social behavior. Most blatant example would be sex and orgasm, but subtle things like good feelings after a hug or a nice conversation have a social and biological reward to them. Basically, what I'm saying is there's certain things in us that are physical that we need to be social with people to achieve. Yeah, or maybe not need, but that's the reason they're there, is to encourage the behavior that provides a pleasure. Sex and orgasm I just chose because it is the most inside outside clear example of how being social or pays off. And so similarly, ASMR creates sensations seemingly based on a sense. And you can tell, like, I wrote this bar for bar because it doesn't always make sense. It's based on a sense of calmness and attention, a mother whispering and scratching a child's back, the subtle snips of scissors while getting a haircut. And by this, what I mean is that being near each other, touching one another, again, good conversation, all this stuff. There's certain sensory and also social things that we do near one each other that feel good for a variety of reasons. And so I think ASMR can kind of be one of that, in that bag where you are in a safe, when even getting your haircut or going to bed or having something read to you, it's sort of a slightly vulnerable state mixed with a real good dose of the understanding that you're in a calm, quote-unquote, safe space because of the low tone. You're not elated. I'll get into that. You're not, excited in a certain way. You're kind of down, almost. You've let go of some of the tension. And so, but it's not solely from other people, though. It can't be. Because if I hear some crinkling in the woods from X, Y, or Z, or a soft wind, I can tingles. And so it's a little bit of a question. And so I'm going to say a reaction. It's a reaction to stimuli in an environment that is safe or at least non-exciting, different from fear, elation, anger, in the way it feels. And I'm guessing maybe in the way it would map out. So yeah, I think this final point, it is a use of our senses that is few and far between in a busy, loud world. The leaves crinkle under car wheels, and the breeze carries horns and sirens. And by this I mean, I think ASMR is going to lead into ASMR as a genre. ASMR feels really good nowadays, and we associate it with videos and all these things, and less so our everyday lives, except for those kind of delve into it. And people think it's the whispering and the mukbangs. Little pop. Because everything's so loud. So the cars replace, stomping in the woods or I don't know. Any sense of real, normal, natural calmness and safeness. It's replaced by interstates and, all these things, and we could get into how great that is or whatever. But I think that's why it feels so different and why we've needed to describe this feeling of calm in a specific way. I think we could have anyways, but because it is an outlier, it becomes a special thing and, and a commodity, which we're going to get into. I'm going to get into that. So that's ASMR, the phenomenon. That's how I'd consider it. Those are just a lot of thoughts. I'm not really going to give you one round, nice, whatever. Also, sorry, this is a Rick and Morty lighter. I lit it with, I'm going to get back on track, but yeah, so that's the phenomenon. And then I'm going to get to ASMR as an entertainment genre. And by this I mean YouTube, social media. I already said it, internet. And the thing is, ASMR is a peculiar thing because the term and the genre came out of one another in the sphere of popular culture. What this means is ASMR as we know it has always been a commodity. And by this I mean, as we've begun, it's been written out before, I'm sure, there's a long tradition of human history in speculating the name of ASMR, but as it's been named ASMR, as it's become a focus of any sort, it has only been in the sphere. I don't know what this part was. Of YouTube and Google, and YouTube was bought by Google later, but basically it has only been developed as a product. Not only been developed, but largely been developed as a product in a competitive, I don't know if it's what competitive, video attention market, in the system in which, YouTube and then Google, and it got less and less equitable as it went on, gets to show ads, and YouTube, it becomes sort of a wage, but also like feudal thing, in the sense that they own the platform and they collect the spoils of your video, and they give part of it back to you, but only once you've reached a certain status in the first place. And so there's that certain element, and then it's given back to the ASMR artist, which is just okay. I'm making myself laugh, but this is just how labor works, but very simply. I'm not an expert, but ASMR, because it is a replication of a biological social response, it is farming that response, is what I'm trying to say, and that in and of itself is a product. And I think it makes it very unique. And it means that our understanding of how to elicit or what this response is fundamentally changed by this. And this is true of so much that's made, past 500 years, all this stuff, it's under this guise that we can't break out of it. Our imaginations understand certain inventions and understandings in a really way that is tough, especially when it's not just our things. Nope, it's our feelings. What? And so, while an average person across history may have experienced ASMR throughout their lives, it came by chance, or a byproduct of an activity, or some sort of social bond, hooves on the brick, or your grandma scratching your back and whispering in your tingles. ASMR videos and other related entertainment sources, as they have existed in our lives and on the internet, cannot be separated from their nature of manufacturing and our senses within themselves rather than as a byproduct. So it ceases to become this nice little nugget of human social interaction, and instead becomes a boon in and of itself. And this is just how things are with the internet, and I'm going to get into that because it can get so many little things out of us in ways we don't expect, and that's tough. And I think that's so much of especially American society, because there's no manufacturing really as much. So all the jobs, from a server job, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me just start. This is true of most service work to different visible extremes. Sex work is sex/fantasy as a commodity, like the labor of that. Restaurant and service jobs produce a certain social fantasy that's infused to the value and the price item sold. And so it's like the labor and the experience are included in the price, That's why the same food, if it's at a sit-down restaurant, they want to charge more, because they're selling you the fantasy while not paying the workers, but that's what they're selling you. And so that's what I'm trying to say, is that it is, it's just a product as of sorts in a way. And hold on, give me a second. I started laughing in my head, but yeah, it just is sort of a exportation of sensations. And so as it is placed in, sorry about that detour, but another theory of why it exists in the way it does as an entertainment genre, besides what it is as a social service of sorts in a way, a theory I have on ASMR as an entertainment genre is that it is a counterbalance to the abrasive and ever-changing nature of videos on the internet. Social media is largely filled with shouting, bright lights, and bombastic personality. This makes it addicting but exhausting by its nature. By its nature and intent, most ASMR is the opposite of the listed qualities. It is slower, it is quieter, it makes the viewer a subject. And so I also think ASMR appears as a contender in the marketplace of all the videos because it has opposing qualities. ASMR asks you to slow down, it asks you to listen. Not all of them, and a lot of them have a lot of shock value now, and I'll get into that, but in its nature, it comes as a break. And I think it's interesting how when certain video, as things get louder and louder, there's able to open up a sort of opposite of that. It creates its own opposite in ASMR, and it reflects the rest of the internet, but in a quieter form. Quiet internet. That's a thought I had not written down. Sort of a quiet internet. Its own, mirrorverse. And so, but the thing is, despite the idiosyncratic characteristics relative to much of the internet, ASMR is still a category of videos on social media. It is a victim to its own metagame and evolution as a category where each video competes for the attention of the viewer. So ASMR has to interact with other ASMR videos because there's only so many people I can watch, But it is also prey to the metagame of the rest of the internet because it's also just on YouTube. Thus, we see the hyper-specialization of ASMR and most of the internet, of course, birthing videos with mics that can pick up the sound of blood in one's veins. So that's the ASMR metagame, because there's so much ASMR video and you're always trying to, get the views and all the good stuff. Not any intention there, just in the way where someone sits down and they said, hey, I want to make ASMR, but you don't always want to make the same thing as someone else, so you think of what crazy thing you can do that'll be fun, like I'm doing right now. And you have to, it ends up creating a situation where there's it's ASMR, it creates the most nook and cranny sensation, which would be the sound of blood in one's veins. That is the most, it is sort of a rare mythic sound that could elicit a tingle never tingled before, because all the other tingles aren't good enough, which I'll get into. And that basically means that ASMR kind of evolves itself within itself, but then it also, ASMR videos become on increasingly niche topics. This is the popular metagame. This is the game of every video versus every video on the internet for dominance and hegemony and all these things. Sort of, though. And so that's why you get ASMR on every freaking topic. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, kind of a great thing for me. I've been able to speak casually about certain topics I would know nothing about without ASMR. And it's been great. But I think the mitosis, I think that, the evolving of that is because of this. And so we have all this ASMR, but in some ways, because it has been made into a product, I myself have developed a conflicting relationship with the phenomenon, because I want it to be this wonderful nugget of life, but it's something I'm kind of addicted to in a sense. I watch it a lot a day, a lot. And I think a lot of other people do who watch ASMR. And so, sort of like Pandora's box, it's like Eve's apple, where it's like, you can't freaking go back, in a sense. And that's the double bind, because and that's the thing. And that's always the conclusion, is like, if it's gonna change how I relate to the very sensations in my body, at least these guys don't need to be the ones being the middleman, you know? Let me get my tingle dealer the means of production. And so that's kind of the thing, but that's the thing, is what I'm saying is this is reflected in the ASMR viewers' experience with the ASMR. As many will attest, after a certain amount of consistent viewing, a tolerance to ASMR is built. This leads to a search for different triggers to replicate the sensations or take a tolerance break. So you basically either have to find like this niche, delicious ASMR, or you have to take an ASMR tea break. And thus, the avid ASMR viewer appreciates the sprawling universe that the ASMR has carved for herself, and I do. And I don't know what to do about that. And so I'm going to put my 2 cents into the ASMR and into the popular sphere. And I want to think about topics in ASMR and think about, I probably won't do another video on ASMR as a topic itself, but I want to continue speaking about these things and trying out different thoughts with whoever's watching, and people can respond to the comments. But yeah, I think I got a little nugget here. Let me know if you disagree. Let me know if you agree. Expand. Call me out on some faulty logic I got here. If I got a little woo, whatever you're feeling. I'm probably just gonna hang out the rest of the night. It's nighttime for me. I hope it's a good time, good weather, or bad weather if you're in a bad mood, and that'll make you feel good. But yeah, have a good whatever. See you in the next one.